Well, there are a lot of head coaching candidates for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but in my mind, I got three. My top three head coaching candidates of the Pittsburgh Steelers that are Rooney and Omar Khan are processing. So, yeah. So, I might throw a bonus out there. But I'm going to talk about my top three. So, yeah. Hi, everybody. George Steele 88 with another video. I'm going to talk about my top three head coaching candidates for the Pittsburgh Steelers that Omar Khan and anyone are processing. So let's jump right into it. So there are three head coaching candidates, well, my top three, that the Steelers are going to interview eventually. One is going to be a long shot, so I'll talk about that any second. So here we go. First, I'm going to talk about Klint Kubiak. Klint Kubiak is currently the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, and they are currently in the playoffs by the according to this video. And they played this Saturday against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Klint Kubiak, he's the son of former NFL head coach Gary Kubiak. Now, Klint Kubiak, he started out as being a quality control offensive quality control assistant during his 3 years at Texas A&M. Now, he didn't get to the pros till 2013, being the Minnesota Vikings offensive quality control for 2 seasons. He did return to college in 2015 for 1 year, working with the wide receivers coach, for Kansas. Now, he went back in the NFL with the Denver Broncos, working under his father Gary as an offensive assistant for 3 seasons with Denver. He returned to he went back to Minnesota for his second stint as quarterback coach in 2019 for 2 seasons with Minnesota as a quarterback coach, though, if I meant to say. And then in 2021 he got promoted as an offensive coordinator. He went back with Denver in 2022, being a quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. And then he went to the San Francisco 49ers in 2023 as a passing game coordinator. In 2024, he went to the New Orleans Saints as the offensive coordinator, lasted 1 year with them, and then now this year he's with the Seattle Seahawks as an offensive coordinator, if I say it already. Yeah. So I would like an offensive-minded coach, though. But Klint Kubiak, excuse me, is a long shot for the Pittsburgh Steelers because I got a feeling that Seattle that the Seahawks, they're going to be in the playoffs longer because they could go to the Super Bowl and win it, though. But by that time, the Steelers, they will have a head coach, but they might have a head coach name at that time. But Klint Kubiak, I would love him to be the be our head coach because he can work with guys like Will Howard, Pat Freiermuth, if he's still on the team. Because most of the time the Steelers hire defensive-minded coaches. And we're doing this time with Seattle so far because their offense is number 1. But their offense is top ranked, excuse me. I'm sorry. But their offense is top ranked because he made Sam Darnold look like an elite quarterback and make Jackson Smith and Jim one of the top receivers in the league if I say it right. And then Kenneth Walker, man, he is so underrated though, and he's making them look like a star. So yeah. So that's Klint Kubiak right there. One of the Steelers head coaching candidates. So, but he's a long shot to be the Steelers head coach though. So, because the Seahawks are going to be in the playoffs though. So, yeah. Now let's talk about the Steelers nation who are familiar with is Brian Flores. Now, Brian Flores, he had head coaching experience with, Brian Flores, he had head coaching experience in the NFL, mostly with the Dolphins for 3 seasons. But during his time with the Dolphins, during his 3 seasons with the Dolphins, he's 24-25. And yeah, he's controversial because that incident in Miami, wherever that was, I forget what it was, but yeah, because he had an incident with Miami that led to his release in 2021, at the 2021 season, by the way. Now, when he came to the Steelers in 2022, he came to the Steelers in 2022, but before that, before he was a Miami Dolphins head coach, he started with the Patriots in 2004 as a scouting assistant for 2 seasons with the Patriots. He was a pro. Then he got promoted to the pro scout. No, he spent. No, he spent. I'm sorry. He spent about 3 seasons with the. No. He spent about. Dang, he spent about like at least like 13 seasons with the Patriots. Well, for 2000, for 2 seasons with the Patriots, he was a scouting assistant. Then he was a pro scout for 2 seasons with the Patriots, and then a special team assistant with the Patriots for 2 seasons. For 1 season, he was an offensive assistant and special teams coach. And then in 2011, he got promoted to defensive assistant. And then 2012, he got promoted as a safeties coach and been there for 4 seasons with the Patriots. Then they promoted him to linebackers coach with the Patriots for 3 seasons. And then he eventually became the head coach of the Miami Dolphins in less than 3 years, like I was saying before. And he worked with the Steelers though for 1 season, and he should have been our defensive coordinator, but Mike Thomas decided to stick with Terrell Austin. And that was a stupid move by Mike Thomas, by the way, to promote Terrell Austin as defensive coordinator instead of Brian Flores, because Brian Flores was making our defense better. So when he went to the Minnesota Vikings, he made that defense phenomenal because they were creating turnovers. And stopping big plays, stopping and limiting explosive plays against the other team. So yeah, because when he was with, like I was saying, when he was with the with the Vikings defense was phenomenal. So yeah, because they were shutting down opponents, especially this past season when he was a defensive coordinator with the Vikings. So the defense was top ranked. They were like top 5 in almost every category or something like that. So yeah. So that's Brian Flores right there. I mean, I wouldn't have been mad if they hired him as a head coach, but he's a little past 40 though, because he won't be 45 till next month. So by recording this video. So yeah. Now the coach that's been on my mind that I wanted to see head coach it's almost every Steelers fan's mind is Chris Shula. Now Chris Shula is currently the defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. We all know he is the grandson of Don Shula. He's a nephew of Mike Shula and the son of David Shula. I know Steelers love the bloodlines. So yeah, before that, before he became the defensive coordinator of the Rams, Chris Shula, he was a linebackers coach of Ball State in 2010, and then he went to Indiana being a graduate assistant for 3 seasons, and then he went to John Carroll, a Division III college, as a defensive coordinator, and he didn't join the pros till 2015, spending about 2 seasons with the Chargers. They were in San Diego back then as a defensive quality control, and then he went to the Los Angeles Rams, joining Sean McVay. He was an assistant linebackers coach with the Rams for 2 seasons, and then he got promoted in 2019, being an outside linebackers coach for 2 seasons with the Rams, and then got promoted to linebackers coach in 2021, and then 2022 he became the Rams defensive backs coach, and then the defensive PGG, wherever that stands for. And then 2023 he got promoted being the linebackers pass rushing coordinator, and then in 2024 got promoted being the defensive coordinator, which he currently is now. Now, as a Rams defensive coordinator under Chris Shula. Well, this year they were top. The defense was top ranked. They stopped the run. They create turnovers at times. They made guys like, especially Jerry Verse, a star, who was last year's defensive rookie of the year. So, and his team, along with a guy for a bonus out there, is still in the playoffs, and they play against the Bears this Sunday. So that's Chris Shula right there. Now there's a bonus right there I'm going to talk about is the guy who could be our head coach, but could be our offensive coordinator if Chris Shula is accepted that he still his head coaching job. And this guy who I'm going to talk about is Nate Scheelhaase. Now Nate Scheelhaase, he is the Rams passing game coordinator. Now he can be creative. Now Nate Scheelhaase, he's 30 years old if I recall correctly. I mean, and the Steelers are interviewing him. I mean, I could tell he could be like an offensive genius for the for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a head coach, though, because we already talked about Klint Kubiak. Because there's not much on Nate Scheelhaase other than being the passing game coordinator. Because I was looking on this video on social media and how he can be creative with his plays and all that. So yeah, so that's Nate Scheelhaase right there. So yeah, so those are the three candidates I just talked about. Although I had a formal bonus out there, and that being Nate Scheelhaase. So yeah. So let me know what you think down in the comment section down below about the three coaching candidates I was talking about. Although I had to throw a bonus in there for the Steelers head coach, for the Steelers coaching candidates. Well, just comment below who you want to see as head coach. I know there's some others that I didn't name, but I just named my top three, and I had to throw a bonus in there. So for the Steelers, though, they just go after coaches who are like about 35 or younger. I know Chris Shula is almost 40, but they can still hire him if they can, though, because he's most talked about, not because of his grandfather and all that, because how he's being a defensive coordinator with the Rams and all that. Well, in my mind, I'm leaning on towards hiring Chris Shula. I hope the Steelers could do that because that's been on my mind, and it can bring Nate Scheelhaase to be the offensive coordinator, and that will be golden, almost, in my opinion. Now I said this about a second ago. Now, if it still hire Chris Shula and hire Nate Scheelhaase as an offensive coordinator, that's a home run for the Pittsburgh Steelers right there. So, yeah. So my mind is on Chris Shula and then hiring Nate Scheelhaase as an offensive coordinator. That's on my mind. So, yeah. So with that being said, if you click on the video, I greatly appreciate it. So, yeah. So this is Jordan Steele 88. I'll see y'all guys in my next video. And as always, here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Yeah, man.